I've been playing around with it with some time now, and a lot of friends have been enjoying Time Crisis. However, I did notice that Time Crisis is going to be a quite challenging game to play for most people. But let's do a quick overview of a couple of the system games, and also how do I think how the overall light gun situation is. They're using Sinden. That's the reason why we have this white border around the screen. That is only going to be enabled when you're going to be playing the games. However, I don't find it really distracting. But when you're looking at the overall performance, I'm quite surprised how good it actually works. Where the light guns are maybe not 100% accurate like the original Namco, they are getting really close. I really love the holders and where the guns fit perfectly. And it's a very nice way to basically display this cabinet in your collection. The first thing I was really flabbergasted about is the force feedback, or at least the feedback you're getting. That's kind of cool that they actually implemented it, and the way how they made it is even more of a genius situation. They make like a kind of a mechanism, and this is also the downside to the light guns. So you need to have this certain point where we're going to be moving the, let's say, feedback of the top part. This is similar to like the Namco guns I'm having from Gun 4IR. However, when you're going to be playing, it's a lot of resistance, and this is the downside. If you're going to be playing some rapid fire games, this is not going to be a very pleasant situation. However, you can lock the system, and that's kind of cool. If you're going to be placing it back, you're going to be pressing the tiny button over here. You can lock and you don't have any feedback at all, but the feedback is one of the things that I just really like about this thing. So when you're looking at the way how the light guns react to everything, they're very accurate. And when I'm going to be playing the, let's say, the PlayStation version or using the Gun 4R or the Cinder ones, this thing, it works pretty good. But again, when you're going to be looking at the menu itself and going to be shooting, that resistance of the feedback, I really need to get used to it. The control panel itself works quite easy. We just have player 1 credit, player 2. Over here we have the on and off switch and the volume. And you can basically like slide it right or left. And you can already hear it. The audio goes quite loud. If you're going to be listening to it and you're going to be looking at the volume, going to be putting it on, let's say 11, this thing is quite loud with the tiny speakers. One of the biggest improvements when you're looking at the first generation of Arcade1up machines. Another feature and what I love is the pedal, because it's implemented in the machine itself. But what's kind of cool, and that's one of those details, do have like a very cool decals explaining how the original game actually was. Okay, in the middle we're going to be finding the coin door. There is no light up feature with mine over here. I don't know if this is normal. However, this is kind of cool. I love the, let's say, the coin door, something they should done like in the first batch. However, here having the pedal, and the pedal is a combination of metal. You can just oversee it. It's not like a plastic fantastic situation. We can also remove it. There's just a jack cable behind it, so if you want to transport it, you can just do that fairly easy. But if you're going to be putting it back in, it's going to be a cable nightmare. But beside that, it's absolutely a very cool thing to have. Where I find it kind of cool to have a pedal, I'm mostly going to be using the button over here to having the same kind of function in Time Crisis. About plugging and unplugging, you have over here the connections. So this is more like the Xbox 360 situation over here. You can just unplug them if you need to transport them. But modifying, I do wonder what kind of mods we do have out there. So it would be cool to have like upgrade this machine, maybe with some better or other light guns. However, where I'm not the biggest fan of the recoil, it's kind of cool that it's there. But let's take a close look at the menu over here. If you're going to be connecting it to the internet, you can see all kinds of ranking. That's kind of cool. I love those features. Going to the settings, we have network setup, restore factory settings, menu sound can be turned on and off, even the music if you want to. We have an update situation, gun calibration, and going back to the main menu. Let's turn that feedback off, by the way. So next up, going to the next game, Steel Gunner 2, and Point Blank. I'm just going to be honest, I am really disappointed, because this should be like a system to have at least Point Blank 1, 2 and 3. There are so many cool games out there. Where are those, you know? They should like add like 12, 15 games to have like a more like replay value to this. However, let's get into the gameplay. So here you can show that it's having the overview of the game controls, pressing play 1. But the overall emulation performance on this, there's nothing to complain there. Everything works perfectly. Very satisfied with that. Let's crank up the volume.
Your father will pay the price for destroying the...
Let's play a little bit. I'm not going to be using the pedal.
Action!
And I've been playing a lot of Time Crisis and different light guns, but this is actually, the accuracy of the light gun is just no problem. It's just great. but I need to get used to it. But you can see over here that it works perfectly. What I do notice, because this is the arcade version, we're not going to be using the old school CRTs. We don't have that flashy thing, you know, where we're having with, let's say, original, let's say, main emulation, where the screen flashes every single time. One of the biggest improvements. But let's move on to some other games. By pressing the live button, you cannot pause the game. That's a little bit of a downside. Pressing the menu, and or at least the play one goes back to the main menu itself. Let's go to the next game. Steel Gunner. Steel Gunner, I don't understand why they actually put it on here. And the simple reason is because when you're going to be looking at this game, oh man, the volume is such a big difference between the games. I love the music of it. But this game makes no sense, because this is just a rapid fire game. So we're going to be having no use for the recall at all, and that's a little bit of a downside. This is the game that you want to play with the Arcade machine I've been reviewing here on the channel. It's a fun game, it's okay. But the most crazy thing is that they even put freaking part 2 on it. Like, why? Why do you want to put like 2 on it and don't you have point blank 1, 2 or 3? And oh man, and wow, the audio was even louder than the previous game. What a mess. So it's the same kind of game, just rapid fire. This is no fun without any feedback. I don't know what you think about this, but I love the feedback in those crazy machine of like Arcade with the machine guns. That gives like this dimension that you're going to be needing, particularly with these games. Because now we're just pointing at the screen, just shooting, and that's it. I personally never played these games back in the days. I'm personally a big fan of Time Crisis. That's actually where I bought this machine for. Ah, yes. Man, I'm such a big fan of this. This is such a fun game. Let's crank up the volume. This is going to be cool. So let's start with the training. And most of the time when people come by, we're going to be playing freaking Point Blank. This is so cool. And that's why I want to have all of the versions on here. And it's still easy mode, don't get me wrong. I'm not really good at this game. Particularly going to get into the expert mode, I'm completely failing these games. But it went quite well.